Well, welcome to 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, the illusory fake calendar, which is it's an illusion, really. The more I think about this whole idea of 2025, it's just the whole idea of the construct we call the Gregorian calendar, made by a guy in a mitre hat from a religion that basically came out of Babylon, which found its way back to Rome. And then through that religious institution, and thanks to the creation of the military arm of that institution, that religious order, the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, which is an inversion of everything that Jesus, who embodied the Christ, actually taught. We have this ridiculous idea of a time, a construct, which only really has any power within the collective consciousness because billions of people upon the planet adhere to it. And that's the nature of the world we live in today. The only reason why people suffer and that we have this collective society throughout the entire world where only a small group of people control the many, and I mean they really control the many and get away with acting towards the populace like we are slaves and they are masters. It's because people acquiesce to it. It's the only reason why this is happening. And when will be the time when we fucking grow up to realize we take these cocksuckers and we put them into jail cells for the rest of their incarnation in their bodies where they belong, and they never get out. Never get out. No violence, just pick them up, take them, walk them into a jail cell, put them into a jail cell. So that's where you're going to stay for the rest of your incarnation. Your entire wealth, we are going to use it. We're going to use your entire wealth and your entire system to benefit all beings across the planet and all of creation. We're going to use your finances, your wealth, to benefit all beings, to make this place into a paradise. When's that going to happen? Well, according to David DuByne and his work around the yoga shift, about 1200 years we might see, about 1200 years of transitioning from this construct of 2025 moving forward, we are going to see the beginnings of that process happening in this Gregorian calendar year. We're going to begin to see that process of that transition, that purification event, which will take 1200 years for it to happen. And by jingo, by crikey, it needs to happen. Because so many people in our society, in our world, acquiesce and give their power over to these parasites. I don't, but so many people do. And there are legion. Billions of people give over their power to a bunch of parasites who control their lives in every possible way you can imagine, without them even knowing it, which is the biggest trick of all, the misdirection. Look over here. Well, meanwhile, they're taking all your entire wealth, your power, and your energy away from you because you're giving it to them. But in this year, I had this feeling not long before the end of this year came. I'm in Hope, by the way, at my sister's place in Hope, above the behind me over there, or behind the camera actually, that way is the Aniseed Valley, and over here is the Tasman Bay, which is beautiful today. We've had some pretty inclement weather, and as David DuByne says, we are heading into a mini ice age. David DuByne, Out 2030, definitely check out his work. He's the only woman that I've seen that really is holding this narrative, this line, and it's showing the cycles that we are heading into a mini ice age, and there's cataclysmic upheavals due to the nature of the cosmic effects, the cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles, macrocosm, microcosm. The macrocosm is the universal cosmic cycle when it's happening, which ties into the yuga shift, but also happening on a micro level on the planet itself. And a lot of people aren't talking about it, but it's happening. There's a huge shift happening. There's an energetic shift happening. There's a geological, there's a geophysical, there's a weather pattern shift. We are heading into a mini ice age. If you don't believe me, look at what's happening in North America and Europe in June and the beginning of January, the beginning of January. How cold it's going to be in North America. in the second week of January, the first and second weeks of January. This is how it begins. This is how it begins. And Asia, the northern hemisphere in general is going to get hammered with this cold Arctic weather coming down from the Arctic. And I wonder how much of that how much of that weather pattern and system will come down into the northern regions of the northern latitudes of North America, Asia, northern Europe itself, and probably the Middle East as well, potentially even the Middle East, that far south. What will that mean for migrations of people moving from places they moved into, Europe, North America? Will they move back down to Central and South America? Will they move back down to the Middle East? Will they move back down to North Africa? Or equatorial regions of the planet, because it's too cold to live in those parts of the world because of the nature of what's coming. Huge migrations, potentially in the next 5 years, as this weather pattern, as this mini ice age really begins to grip. And in my own country, where I am now, I've been traveling around the South Island for almost 2 weeks. I have seen the southwesterly flows become more predominant. This time of year, where I am right now, is beautiful in the Nelson region, due to the nature of the fact that the southwesterly flows, which I've been monitoring, the southwesterly flows tend to push up the east coast of the South Island and the west coast of the South Island. Where I am is a rain shadow area, because the Southern Alps behind me, just over there, they catch most of the southwesterly flow, and by doing that, you have these beautiful days here, because the southwesterly doesn't get over the mountain ranges behind me, over the Southern Alps, and we have these days like this, unless it's coming in from the north, which often with the southwesterly flow the last few weeks, it's been spinning around the top of the Golden Bay, Tasman Bay region, and coming back into this particular area. When I arrived here 2 days ago, it was pouring with rain, and that generally happens when we have a southwesterly flow that pushes the air around, and the storms come around into the north and bring in the rain in this particular part of the country, on the island itself, Te Waipounamu, where I am. And I'm watching very carefully what's going on with the weather, because I'm very astute in that sense, that I'm understanding the nature of the cycles, the biggest cycles, right? And how those cycles are being pretty much ignored by most of the legacy media and people within the legacy media, because it doesn't fit into the narrative of climate change. The Earth's getting warmer, which is a massive inversion of the truth. It's getting colder. It's not getting warmer, it's getting colder. You might have some warm days, but the duration, the weather patterns, the weather system is bringing colder air from in the Arctic in the northern hemisphere and Antarctic from the southern hemisphere, and we're getting hammered. We're getting hammered with these southwesterly flows coming up the island of Te Waipounamu onto the North Island. My friends in Auckland are telling me there's howling southwesterlies up there coming off the ocean into Auckland, bending around, hitting the top of the North Island, and it's cold. Even though the days are warm, the chill in the air, the bite in the air is coming from the southwesterly flow, which is very strong up that way. So that makes it very interesting. January in New Zealand is quite unsettled, but the long-range prediction forecast is to be much the same all the way through January and potentially through February as well. We'll see. Hopefully it settles down a little bit and we get a shorter summer. This is what's going to happen. We're going to have shorter summers, brief summers, and then longer winters. That's what's going to happen, because we are heading into a mini ice age. For some parts of the world, northern hemisphere especially, they're going to be really rocked by these weather patterns, and they're going to have way shorter summers than what they used to have due to the nature of these cycles. Once again, follow the work of David DuByne, Adapt 2030 on YouTube and on BitChute, Rumble, to see and look at these weather patterns, and not only that, the economic patterns that come in with this as well. The powers that be know exactly what time it is and what's happening and what the cycles are that are happening. Nothing to do with the Gregorian calendar, just cycles within cycles within cycles. These cycles are cosmic cycles in the macro sense, and micro cycles on the Earth itself. These weather systems and patterns, these cycles, these shifts in the jet stream are all natural. But the question then becomes, are they piggybacking? Are the powers that be, are the parasite class using their technology which they retained from Atlantis? Are they using that technology to piggyback upon the cycle, to bring in a more extreme events around certain parts of the world in order to remain in control. And then on top of that, you have a situation where you have the gangsters all sitting around the table, which is basically the good analogy of what we have today in regards to the parasite class, who are all sitting around the table arguing with each other about wanting to do it their way. I want to do it my way. I want to do it my way. I want to do it my way. All fighting each other with their weather warfare, and bringing in the weather warfare so that they can attack each other's countries and each other's areas where they live in the world, whether it be Asia, whether it be North America, whether it be Eastern Europe, whether it be Russia, whether it be Africa, whether it be the Middle East, attack each other with their weather warfare and bring in these massive weather events which devastate infrastructure and economies, and therefore bring in, allow the powers that be, the parasite class, those who are fighting against each other, to have a leg up or a foot up in regards to how they choose to progress forward with their own plans over the other plans of the other people in that group of gangsters sitting around the table, who are still, like I said before, arguing with each other about how they want to play the game and how the game is going to be played. So for me, 2025, the more I look at it, the more I see it, the more I realise that it's going to be a push towards more transhumanism. One of my friends, as I've said before in a video, Joe Cedarwell, who writes for the American Tech magazine, made it quite clear to me before the election that the amount of tech AI billionaires who are working with the Trump administration to bring in AI to a way that creates more governance through AI, and also AI into the military, you're looking at pretty much a transhumanist route being pushed hard through the Trump administration. And what that means potentially is not only AI governance, but AI military, AI in a way that convenes itself into a place where it becomes so prevalent within society, especially in North America, and potentially through Europe as well. North America, especially the United States of America, the USA. What you're going to have is a massive push for AI to be in charge of so many aspects of society that the human aspect will be removed completely from the governance, the military. It will be reduced, not removed, reduced to a place where it becomes less prevalent, and the reliance on AI becomes stronger in 2025. You also see a lot more weather events, according to the work of David DuByne, more weather events, more weather shifts and changes, more big electromagnetic discharges from the sun, which will cause, of course, traveling along Birkeland currents. The Birkeland currents, look into Birkeland currents and electricity and the electrical universe. When these discharges come out of the sun, our sun, they travel along the Birkeland currents through our solar system, how that affects the planets, also the effect of having 4 gas giants on the backside of the sun by the end of March, April, for almost 4 to 5 months, how that's going to affect our planet. How that's going to affect our planet in a way geophysically, with more eruptions, more earthquakes, more electromagnetic events, more huge weather patterns and weather storms that will be blamed upon climate change, but it had nothing to do with it. It's more to do with the fact that the narrative, which hasn't been talked about, is that the 4 gas giants, the backside of the sun, create a gravity well, and that gravity well pulls on the sun, and then the sun therefore pulls on the earth, and that creates more geophysical events, creates more electromagnetic collusion between the 4 gas giants, the sun and our planet, which will be on this side of the sun, or the 4 gas giants are behind the sun being here, which also means that we are open to bolide meteorite strikes, large cometary fragments breaking off of comets come past that 4-month period, smacking into the earth. There are so many factors people aren't talking about, so many things people aren't talking about, because they're being misdirected to look over here, while meanwhile this is happening. 2025 is going to be a hell of a year for people. And not only that, let's talk about the financial situation as well, with the BRICS countries, how that plays itself out. Well, we see a situation where we'll have so many countries that have joined BRICS by the end of this year that the USA and the Five Eyes nations, the UK, Canada, United States, Australia, and New Zealand, are all basically are living in a bubble of their own creation, while the rest of the world is with bricks. I mean, geez, you got to wonder where we're going financially as well. There's so many things that are coming into this year that I can see, that I have to wonder and scratch my head about and go like, well, where are we headed to, and what does it mean to me? How do I move forward in my life, and how do I express myself in my existence in these moments? And to be honest with you, I feel quite fucking lost. I feel quite lost. So many aspects of my life moving into this year, how I've wanted to co-create with reality, they've been shut down for me. Those co-creations have been shut down, and I find myself even more in a place of decompression and stillness, and a need to stop myself from moving into pushing, I should say, more than moving, pushing too hard into a reality into a pair of shoes that don't fit, so to speak. I'm finding the need for more stillness and to move from that stillness. And today, for example, I didn't see this coming. One of those situations you have in life. Yesterday I was flossing, last night I was flossing, and part of my molar tooth came out. So therefore I've got to deal with that today. So that also sets me back financially as well, in a situation where I didn't have the plan for this, but now this is what's happening and I have to deal with it. And this is a situation I find myself in, and in the situation I also see that it means that once again I have another moment to step back and go like, wow, this is going to cost me potentially $300, $400 for this operation to have my tooth fixed. Money that I didn't want to spend on a thing like this, and therefore it's happening. And it's like, well, what's the universe telling me? To affirm to my abundance, to look after my health. This is the one thing I can look after. I can certainly be in control of my health, because everything else I can't. And it's teaching me that lesson. It's teaching me the lesson of like, what you can control is your health. What you can control is your immediate environment in regards to your person, which is an illegal term, which is illusory, but your body, your mind, your spirit, let's put it that way. That's what you can control. In this moment is what you can control, is your body, mind, and spirit. How you choose to approach that, how you choose to resonate out into the world. And from this place forward, moving forward for me in 2025, I want to do my best, my very best, to be able to move from my heart vortex and push out from my heart vortex into the unified field, and move from there in the present moment without planning too much, because my plans have all just, in the last few months, have just gone. So now it's just really about, okay, back to presence, back to what Yogananda says, back to presence, be present, and let the future take care of itself. And from here, push out into the unified field of 2025. Acknowledge and accept that I've got no control other than what I can experience in my body, mind, and spirit in this reality. This reality. It's all I can control. My body, mind, and spirit. And how I choose to move from my heart vortex. That's all I can control in 2025. Have an amazing year. Have an amazing shift, a Yuga shift. Enjoy the end of the ascending Kali Yuga cycle. This is it. We're coming to the end of it, according to Dev Misra, the author of Yuga Shift. The March equinox is the end of the Kali Yuga, ascending Kali Yuga cycle, and we are into the age of transition. Not too far away, and I can see that it's going to be a hell of a year. Enjoy the ride. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate it. Mate wa. I'll see you again soon.